Great to see you here again. My name is Luc de Kuster, founder of the Kuster Academy. And in this video, I will talk about allocating resources to activities. Once we have identified the activities, we understand what type of people we need to complete the work. And that's what we're going to do. And in this video, we also look at the different types of activities. How do they change when we add more people to the activity? But before we continue, don't forget to click on the subscribe button, click on the bell button, and every time we have a new video, YouTube will inform you about it. Let's first have a look at what we call fixed duration activities. Fixed duration activities are independent of the number of people added to the activity. We want to reduce the duration of these activities, but if we want to do that, we have to use different methods. It doesn't work by adding more people. What are some examples? For example, we have paint that needs to dry for 24 hours. It's typical for the paint because it will dissolve. So before we can put a second layer of paint, we have to wait 24 hours or as specified by the producer of the paint. Concrete needs to cure for 28 days to obtain its maximal strength. Now, what people can do, you can put some additives there that it cures faster, or you can test after 7 days to see if you can continue with the work. Even when the maximum strength is not reached yet, it can be enough to keep on working, or it can be enough for the structure. But typically, we know that it takes 28 days to get the maximum strength. Compiling a computer program takes a specific time on the server. Putting more people there, it will not make the server work faster. Now, when we look at resource-driven activities, here it is a little bit different. Here, activities depend on the number of resources that have been allocated. Adding more resources will reduce the duration, but we have to consider that we will describe later as the crash point. So the crash point is a very important element when we are adding resources to activities. We look at some examples, for example, painting a room with one or more people, building a wall, producing a number of parts. These are typically activities when we add more people, the activity will be completed faster. Now, when we look at the activity, we have to look at the activity duration, resources, and what we call the crash point. Now, what we see to the left of, let's say, 4 people, we assume that adding more people will reduce the duration in a linear way. Now, once we pass a certain moment, we will see that adding more people does not reduce the duration in the same way. The people are interfering with each other, and in that moment, their efficiency goes down. And finally, we reach what we call the crash point. Adding more people after the crash point will increase the duration of the activity. And it's very important to consider that. How many people will we choose? Will we choose 4 or will we choose 5 people? When we add people to the activities, we first have to identify what we call a skill inventory matrix. We identify the skills that we need for our project. We have the people that we have. I have Radomil, Radovan, Father Christmas, Olive Oil, and Popeye working on my project. And I identify what skills they have. And here we can identify what skills are missing. And we can find solutions to add people with those missing skills to our project. So that's very important to understand what skills do we have, what skills do we have to add, do we have to find. We can find people from other projects, we can find people from, for example, outside the company, subject matter experts that we can hire, and so on. All depends on the different elements that we are doing. Now, when we look at the resources allocated matrix, what we are going to do, we're going to allocate the resources to different activities. And when we have a RAM, a resource allocation matrix, we have to specify the legend. We have the primary, the support, people to notify, an approver, a subject matter expert, and so on. This legend is very important because in the RAM, we don't have any predefined legend. What is very important is that every activity should have one and only one primary lead. the person in charge of the activity. Typically, it should be the person with the best qualification. People to support can be more, to notify approvers and SMEs. There can be more than one on the activities. It depends. But it's very important to make the distinction here that for the resources allocation matrix, you have to put there a legend. Another possibility is what we call the RACI format. The RACI format is a predefined format where we don't need a legend because we know that R refers to responsible, A is accountable, C is consult, and I is informed. And the person who is accountable for the activity is the person who is in charge of the activity, the leader of that activity. Now, like we had the primary lead in the previous format, we here have the accountable. There can only be one and only one person accountable for one activity. Having more than one person accountable is not acceptable, but we have to have at least one person accountable. So that was it about adding resources to the activities. Very important to understand this, and that's all for this video. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button, click on the bell button, and every time we have a new video, YouTube will inform you about it. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye bye.